Well, 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 what have we here? These Jaegers were called the ancient ones. They have the full EWI framework, center, orbit, quadrant, the whole playbook. And today I'm going to show you what that actually means. Let's calibrate.
Neural handshake strong and holding.
Right hemisphere is calibrating.
Left hemisphere, calibrating.
Proof and transmitting.
So here we are, explaining from the point of a drone. Let me tell you how I started flying a drone and how it taught me about having no latency. So I learned to build drones, fly the drones in acro mode. See, in acro mode, you don't have the GPS stability to help fly the drone. When you learn to fly the drone, it's two joysticks. And you have to be precisely on them joysticks to keep that drone in the air. Any type of mistake on any joystick, you crashing. So the process of learning to fly acro, you're gonna crash a lot of drones before you learn to fly a drone. But it's just, to me, it's one of the most things that I like to do. Fly. I got to get back into flying drone because it's like, you feel like you're sitting in the cockpit of a jet and you have the control and power of being a hummingbird. Flight in any direction, up, down, forward, backwards. So that's where I'm going with this. Learning to fly a drone, you learn the joysticks, how the joysticks operate. The joysticks operate the way the human body does. Up, down, forward, back, side to side, and the four corners, which is technically 8 directions. So one joystick is up, down, and spirals. The other joystick is in any direction, multi-directional, while pitching. So with the right joystick, if you move it forward, it'll just go in that direction. Move it, tilt it back, it goes in that direction. In all 8 directions, so you have to know how to apply both sticks to control the drone. So what that taught me and how it applies to Kung Fu, there is no latency in being able to control that drone. Any type of lag or the joystick's off, you're gonna crash the drone. So how that applies in Wing Chun, there are 3 spears, and they're based off of Euler angles. So Tan Sao becomes a pitch because you're pitching a spherical circular. Bong Sao becomes roll because now you're rolling the ball this way. Fook Sao, now you're pitching the ball under and in or out. Under, in, or out. So in its simplicity, high level of human movement comes down to 3 techniques: pitch, roll, and yaw. In Wing Chun wording, Tan, Bong, Fook. To be ambidextrous on both sides, Tan, Bong, Fook. So to make this system work, you have to be ambidextrous. And that is the magic of the system. Okay, then check it out. So now we got 3 planes. You're moving on the sagittal plane, the horizontal plane, and the frontal plane. Just like a drone, just like the same controller, front, horizontal, frontal. So now when we talk about the classical mess in traditional Wing Chun, when we talk about high, mid, low, left, right, left, right, left, right, what I did for the EWI, I put it in quadrants. Left, right, and I made the center, orbital center, as if it was a turret, because that's essentially what it is when you look at it from the Euler standpoint. So I'm taking the center as if it was a ring here, and this is where the techniques is coming from. So high left, high right, low left, low right, and anything and everything that comes in the center. And then when you're seeing things through the right lens of Euler, instead of just Fibonacci, then you can take Fibonacci and then you can scale it to small ball, mid ball, and large ball. See, in the classical mess, they got everything wrong by looking at things through Fibonacci when they should have been looking at things through Euler. Logic of the system, so Ung Mui, Wu Mei, she had to have existed because this is a mathematical formula in geometry and precise movement. So she was a genius. So this was already discovered before I figured it out. So the other part to that secret to understanding how Wing Chun works, instead of it being 108 dummy techniques, the 108 is technically the framework for the whole system. The spear, the blade is linear action, all linear, driven from the elbow of structure. So that's what the first form teaches you in Sulam Tao, linear action driven by the elbow. Now, the 0 in 108 is the Chum Q form, rotation, the rotational axis. Everything rotates. So that's what Chum Q teaches you, to move in rotation. The 8 in the 108 actually means the spiral and infinite movements, because the techniques, these three techniques flow between each other infinitely in bisecting lines. So to me, I'm standing in a spear. This is one spear. When it's my elbow energy, Tan and Bong, that's the second mid-sized spear. When I'm into my hands, I'm at the small spear. Apply that to my hands, big spear, mid spear, small spear. In traditional Wing Chun, you observe that they start at what I would call the second door or the second spear, where they start at arm, wrist, spear, at the mid spear. To me, I don't do that. I start at the very first spear in the hand, where I use the 64 palm changes and all the angles in this spear to manipulate and control Pong. Ambidexterity, both hands. So this is the sticking with no latency, no grabbing, and this is the controlling of the chi. I'm controlling his movement without actually touching him, grabbing him, just his movement. That is the magic part that you're learning and trying to get to, that type of sticking. So when you combine these two elements of the Euler angles and using the joystick. So how I operate myself like a Jaeger, I'm sitting in my brain with these joysticks, controlling how I move and go in between the techniques, expanding big spear, medium spear, small spear, expanding from size, big, medium, small, and infinitely. So all the techniques are rolling within moving the spear. So even the feet. So traditionally, you start off on a 45 movement. That's just the beginning. When you inverse that and then turn it this way, the bigger picture of this is the bisecting lines infinitely in all directions and freeing yourself to move infinitely with technique. The hands and feet move precisely together in sync. Hand move, the foot move. And they're rolling within the techniques. So it's a moving spear within the techniques. So perfectly in sync with your opponent with no lag in the type of control, rolling through the techniques fluidly. So when you see the techniques not as shapes, but a continuously live moving spear, this is where when they say the art becomes alive. And the only way that you get it, see, I can give you the formula like I just broke it down. I could tell you, you can spit it back, you can study it. But as far as martial arts and Wing Chun and Wu Mei and Bagua, you have to transmit it physically by touch. Because if you just read about it and know it, you don't get it. Because how do you know what something feels like if you never known what it feels like? So at some point in time, you have to get this from someone like me with the skills or someone else who has these skills. It's only transmitted. You can't look at a video in a course and learn it. It has to be felt and transmitted. Another part to this, understanding from a Wing Chun standpoint, Quan Sao is technically, from an engineering standpoint and human movement, torque vectoring. This is where the power comes from the ground and moves up to the hands. So the midline is where the torque vectoring comes from. All power is derived from this center torque vectoring. So when you throw a punch, see I torque and I move around his technique because I have precise footwork. And in the precision of the footwork, if you're standing on a dot, I spiral myself into you or a straight line. See, they try to say that it's all linear. Even when it's linear, it's still weaving, but almost on a straight line. So it's that. So with infinite footwork, this is where the dance part comes in, where you're able to touch your opponent and feel and expand and know how to contract by feel and move with your opponent while utilizing your Euler angles and spears. And then be able to go into joint locks out of that formula and flow. Because you are within the flow that the techniques naturally come out of the Euler framework. So this video is the introduction of EWI, Euler Wing Interface. It's not a lineage, it's not a style. It is the underlying principles to all the internal arts. And in this video, I'm showing you what the framework is. And the framework can not only be applied to martial arts, but it can be applied to anything, any art or sport that's circular. Basketball, you've seen it with Kobe and Jordan. They epitomize what the EWI stands for, infinite movement and being ambidextrous, which produces a high level of skill because you're down to precision. See, there's something that's said about being unlocked in the mind, ambidextrous, having control of both hemispheres and being able to operate them independently, precisely. See, when I touch you, see how my hand is not moving away, but I'm able to stick and adhere and control without losing any latency. It can get right into joint locks off the touch. So that's having precise stickiness, and not in just one hand, but in both. Right back into joint locks. So that's why being ambidextrous is so important. See, Bagua, same thing. The 8 trigrams, this is all the same thing. It's like having a Rubik's Cube and being able to infinitely turn and change this Rubik's Cube. So, like I say, when I'm in my Jaeger, I'm just calm, relaxed. I'm up here and I'm on the sticks, telling my robot what to do, how to move. And being in a circular motion, not just linear. This is the second video in the series. If you haven't seen the first video, Wu Mei Conversations and Demonstrations, it's more demonstrations in that video. And it's gonna be a 10 video series where I try to break down the whole internal engine, talk about it, document it. You get to watch Seer here learn the internal engine. You get to see him progress from being hard. See, he started with hop guard, so he's over here. We got to get that out of him. But he's coming along, and you're going to be able to watch his progress and watch me get him to precision. If you haven't seen the first EP1 on Wu Mei, you should go check that out here. And you want to start your journey in Wing Chun, then I suggest you start this video, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Don't let me drown, I'm sinking down.